I thought my husband was just a light sleeper, that he woke up in the middle of the night to check the doors, the windows, our daughter. But one night, I opened my eyes at exactly 2:47 a.m., and he was standing over me, not blinking, not breathing loudly, just watching. I didn't scream. I pretended to sleep, because something in his eyes told me this wasn't the first time. And 7 months later, I found the paper that proved it. I used to believe that love had a sound, the quiet breathing of someone who knows your rhythms, the soft shift of a mattress when they turn in their sleep, the familiar creak of the hallway floor at night that tells you everything is still safe. For 7 years, I thought those sounds meant home. I was wrong. The first time I noticed the clock was by accident. I had woken up from a shallow dream. One of those half-awake moments where your body is still asleep, but your mind floats just above it. The red numbers on the digital clock glowed faintly in the dark. 2:47 a.m. I remember it because my eyes fixed on it. The way they do when something feels slightly off, but you don't know why yet. I could hear someone breathing, not the slow, deep breathing of sleep. Something measured, controlled. I didn't move. I didn't even open my eyes fully. I let my lashes rest just enough apart to see the shape standing beside the bed. My husband, Evan. He was standing on my side, close enough that I could feel the warmth of his body. His hands hung loosely at his sides, his head tilted slightly, like he was studying something fragile. Like me, I wanted to roll over. I wanted to ask what he was doing. I wanted to laugh and say, "You scared me." But fear doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers, "Stay still." So I stayed still, after what felt like forever, but was probably less than a minute. He stepped back. I heard his bare feet retreat. The bedroom door opened and closed softly, then silence. The next morning, I almost convinced myself it never happened. Evan was normal, warm. He kissed my forehead while I made coffee. He asked if I'd slept well. He tied our daughter Lily's shoelaces while humming off-key. Everything fit the picture I had built so carefully, but I started noticing things, small things at first. Evan stopped sleeping deeply. I would wake up and his side of the bed would be empty. When I asked, he said he couldn't sleep and didn't want to wake us. He said he checked on Lily because she kicked off her blanket sometimes. That sounded like a good father, except Lily's blanket was always perfectly tucked when I checked. The second time I saw the clock, I knew it wasn't coincidence. 2:47 a.m. again. My eyes opened without my permission. My heart started pounding before my brain caught up. He was there again. Same spot, same posture. But this time, his face wasn't empty. He was smiling, not a happy smile, not a loving one. Something thinner, tighter, like he was pleased with a secret. I squeezed my eyes shut and slowed my breathing, forcing my body into the rhythm of sleep. I felt ridiculous doing it, like a child pretending to be asleep to avoid trouble, but my instincts screamed at me to play dead. When he left, I didn't sleep again that night. I started keeping track. I didn't want to. I tried not to. But once you see something like that, your body remembers. I began waking up just before it happened, as if my subconscious had learned the schedule before I did. 2:47 a.m. Always the same minute. Sometimes he stood closer. Sometimes he leaned slightly forward. Once, I felt his fingers brush a strand of hair away from my face. That night, I cried silently into the pillow long after he left. I didn't tell anyone. Not my sister, not my best friend, not even my therapist, who had helped me through postpartum anxiety years earlier. Because how do you explain something that sounds insane when you say it out loud? My husband watches me sleep. It sounded dramatic, accusatory. I worried I was projecting fear onto something harmless. He had never hurt me, never raised his voice, never shown anger. But fear doesn't come from nowhere. Around the 4th month, I realized he wasn't just watching me. He was watching Lily too. I found it out by accident when I woke up and the bed was empty. But this time, the hallway Light was on. I followed the faint glow down the corridor and stopped when I saw his shadow cast against Lily's bedroom door. He stood completely still. The door was open just enough to see inside. I leaned against the wall, my legs shaking so badly I thought I might collapse. I didn't step forward. I didn't speak. I just watched my husband watch our sleeping daughter. She was 5 years old, curl on her side, thumb tucked under her chin the way she had done since she was a baby. Evan's head tilted the same way it did when he watched me studying measuring when he turned and saw me. His face shifted instantly. The smile vanished, replaced by concern. I thought I heard her crying. He whispered. I nodded. I didn't trust my voice. After that, I started locking our bedroom door at night. It didn't stop him. I would wake to the sound of the lock clicking softly, expertly. He had always been good with his hands, fixing things, opening stock jars, picking up new skills effortlessly. I never knew that included unlocking doors in the dark. 7 months. 7 months of pretending to sleep. 7 months of waking at 2:47 a.m. 7 months of living with a man I no longer recognized. I started hiding my phone under the pillow, recording audio some nights. But all I captured was silence. His breathing never changed. The floorboards barely creaked. It was as if he floated. During the day, he became almost perfect, cooking dinner, packing Lily's lunches with little notes drawn in colored markers, holding my hand in public like he was afraid I'd disappear. Sometimes I wondered if this was my fault, if neglect or exhaustion had twisted my perception. But then I would wake up to the clock glowing red, 2:47 a.m., and he would be there. The paper came into my life on a Tuesday afternoon. I was cleaning out the garage, something Evan had been meaning to do for years. Lily was at school. Evan was at work. I finally felt alone. I found the box tucked behind an old shelf. No label. Taped shut carefully. Carefully. Inside were documents. Not many. Just enough to make my hands go numb. Printed emails. Numbers. Names I didn't recognize. Dates that matched the nights he watched us. And then the paper at the bottom. A single page. A contract. My name wasn't on it. His was. And underneath, in clean, deliberate handwriting, was our daughter's full name. H. And a price. I sat on the concrete floor for a long time, holding that paper like it might explode. My ears rang. My vision narrowed. The world reduced itself to one unbearable truth. My husband wasn't watching us because he loved us. He was counting down. And suddenly, every night at 2:47 a.m. made sense. Because that was the RU check on something you planned to give away. I didn't cry at first. That surprised me. I thought grief or panic would hit like a wave, knock the breath out of me. But instead, my body went quiet, still. Like it had finally decided fear was useless and survival required something colder. I read the paper again and again. It wasn't handwritten, except for Evan's signature, typed, formal. The kind of language you see when people talk about property or assets. There were phrases like transfer of guardianship, temporary relocation, and non-disclosure. But beneath the polished words, the meaning screamed, someone was buying my child. I checked the date at the bottom. It was from 7 months ago. The same month Evan started standing over me at 2:47 a.m. I folded the paper carefully and put it back in the box. I didn't want Evan to know I'd seen it. Not yet. I needed time to think, to plan, to understand who I was married to. That night, I acted normal. I cooked his favorite dinner. I laughed at his jokes. I asked about his day. My heart raced every time he looked at Lily, every time his eyes lingered just a second too long. At bedtime, I kissed Lily goodnight longer than usual. I breathed her in. Her hair smelled like shampoo and crayons and childhood. She wrapped her arms round my neck and whispered, "Mommy, you're squeezing me." "I know," I said, pulling back quickly, smiling. "I just love you." At 2:47 a.m., I woke up before he came. This time, I didn't pretend to sleep. I watched him step into the room, watched him freeze when he realized my eyes were open. For the first time, He looked scared. What are you doing? I asked, my voice calm in a way that didn't feel like it belonged to me. He didn't answer right away. His mouth opened, then closed. He glanced at the clock, then back at me. You weren't supposed to be awake. He said softly. That sentence cracked something open in me. Why? I asked. Because it ruins the schedule. His face drained of color. I sat up. The room felt suddenly smaller, too intimate, too full of secrets. I found the papers, I said, for a moment. I thought he might lunge at me. Instead, he sank into the chair by the dresser, rubbing his face with both hands. I was going to tell you, he said. When? I asked, after she was gone. He didn't answer. The silence between us stretched, thick and suffocating. I realized something then. He wasn't panicking because I knew. He was panicking because the plan was disrupted. She would have been safe. He finally said, they promised. Who? My voice shook despite my effort. Who promised? You that selling our daughter was safe. He flinched at the word selling. That's not how it works, he said quickly. It's not like that. Then explain it to me. I snapped. Explain why you watched me sleep like I was already dead. His eyes filled with tears, and for a split second, the man I married flickered back into place. I was making sure you didn't wake up, he said, that you didn't notice. I stood up, my legs felt weak, but anger held me upright. You were checking if your obstacles were still asleep, I said. That's what you were doing. He shook his head, desperate. You don't understand. We were drowning. I laughed bitterly. We were managing. We were surviving, he said, barely. My debts, the medical bills, the loan I took out when Lily was born. You never told me, I said. I couldn't. He whispered. You already worried too much. I stared at him, realizing how carefully he'd curated my ignorance. They found me, he continued, an agency. They said they help families in crisis, that they relocate children temporarily, give them opportunities. You believed that? I asked. I verified them. He said quickly, they're real. They have paperwork, reviews. Reviews from who? I demanded. Other parents who sold their kids. His voice broke. I didn't think of it that way. I walked past him and locked the bedroom door, then slid down against it. My hands shook uncontrollably. She's not going anywhere, I said through the door. Not ever. On the other side, Evan didn't argue. That terrified me more than if he had. The next day, I called in sick to work and kept Lily home from school. I told her we were having a mommy-daughter day. She cheered and asked if we could make pancakes. I said yes to everything she asked. Inside, I was racing against something invisible. I searched the names on the papers online. Most led nowhere. Dead ends, shell companies, one address that mapped to an empty office building. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Is this Evan's wife? A woman asked calmly. My blood turned cold. Who is this? We should talk, she said. Preferably before tonight. I hung up and threw the phone across the couch. They knew. That afternoon, Evan packed a bag. I'm going to stay somewhere else, he said quietly. Give you time. No, I said. You're not leaving. He looked confused. If you leave, I said, you come back with them. His shoulders sagged. They're coming tonight, he admitted with or without you knowing. I felt like the floor dropped out from under me. What time? I asked. He swallowed. To 47 a.m. of course. I didn't sleep that night. Neither did Evan. Lily slept between us, unaware, her small body rising and falling peacefully. At 2:30 a.m. Headlights washed over the front windows. I stood up before Evan could stop me. They're not taking her, I said. Not alive. The knock came exactly on time. To call in for 7 a.m. Evan opened the door with shaking hands. Two people stood outside, a man and a woman, well-dressed, calm, smiling. We're here for the transfer, the woman said pleasantly. I stepped forward, holding Lily tightly. She's not going anywhere, I said. The man looked at Evan. You didn't prepare her? Evan didn't respond. The woman sighed. This is unfortunate. That's when Lily woke up. She looked at the strangers, at my face, at her father, Mommy. She whispered, "Why are you crying?" Something inside me snapped cleanly. Decisively, I ran out the back door, into the cold night. Lily clutched to my chest, screaming now. Confused and terrified, I heard footsteps behind me, shouting. But I didn't stop. I didn't look back. Because love isn't quiet breathing in the dark. Love is running barefoot through the night with your child in your arms, willing to burn the world down if that's what it takes to keep them. I don't remember how long I ran. Time stopped behaving normally the moment I crossed into the trees behind our house. Branches scraped my arms. Cold mud swallowed my feet. Lily cried into my shoulder, her small hands fisted in my shirt like I might disappear if she let go. I didn't stop until my lungs burned so badly I thought I might pass out. We hid in a shallow ditch near the edge of the woods. My back pressed against damp earth. Lily tucked into my coat. I covered her mouth gently, whispering nonsense words, apologies, promises I didn't know how to keep yet. I could hear them searching. Footsteps, flashlights slicing through the dark. Voices murmuring calmly, not angry, not rushed, that terrified me more than shouting ever could. They sounded like people who expected to succeed. Lily trembled. "I'm here." I whispered into her hair. "I'm right here." She nodded against my chest, trying to be brave, the way she did when she got shots at the doctor. That memory nearly broke me. The voices faded eventually. The lights moved away. I waited long after silence returned, afraid that moving too soon would undo everything. When dawn finally crept into the sky, pale and fragile, I stood and carried Lily again. Every step hurt. My feet were torn and bleeding. But pain felt irrelevant now. Pain meant I was still here. We walked until we reached the road. A woman stopped her car when she saw us. She didn't ask questions. She just wrapped a blanket around Lily and let me use her phone. I didn't call Evan. I called the police. The station smelled like stale coffee and disinfectant. Lily slept curled against me in a chair while I talked. I told them everything, the watching, the contract, the people. At the door, I slid the folded paper across the desk with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. The officer's face changed as he read. "This isn't the first time," he said quietly. That sentence echoed in my head like a gunshot. They moved fast after that, faster than I expected. Social services, detectives, questions layered on questions. Lily was examined gently by a woman who spoke to her like she mattered. She drew pictures while adults whispered nearby. They found Evan later that day. He didn't run. He told them everything. I learned the rest in fragments over the next weeks, pieced together from reports and conversations I overheard when they thought I wasn't listening. The agency was illegal. It wore legitimacy like a costume. They targeted families quietly drowning debt, exhaustion, isolation. They framed it as opportunity, temporary placement, better futures. They paid well enough to make people stop asking questions. Some parents convinced themselves it was for the best. Some didn't care. Evan had known more than he admitted at first. Not everything, but enough. Enough to sign, enough to schedule, enough to stand over me night after night and make sure I stayed asleep while he prepared to erase our daughter from our life. The 2:47 a.m. visits weren't just habit, they were rehearsals. They charged him with conspiracy, child trafficking, endangerment. He didn't look like my husband in court. He looked smaller, hollowed out. When he glanced at me, I felt nothing. Not hate, not sadness. Just absence. Lily and I didn't go home. The house was sold. I couldn't bear the walls, the bedroom, the clock that still glowed red in my dreams. We moved to a small apartment near my sister. I slept with Lily every night for months, waking at every sound, every shadow. 2:47 a.m. haunted me. Even when the clock said something else, my body knew the hour. My heart would jolt awake. My breath caught halfway in, waiting for footsteps that never came. Therapy helped, slowly, painfully. I learned that hypervigilance is what happens when safety is stolen in small pieces over time. I learned that love can rot quietly if you don't look at it too closely. Lily asked about her father sometimes. Is Daddy in trouble? She asked one night, tracing shapes on the blanket. Yes, I said honestly. Did he do something bad? I thought of the nights. The paper, the price. Yes, I said again. She was quiet for a long moment. Are you going to watch me sleep? She asked. My chest cracked open. I watch you to keep you safe, I said, pulling her close. But I don't need to stand over you. I don't need secrets. She nodded, satisfied, already drifting off. Years passed. The trial ended. The agency disappeared into headlines and court documents. Some children were recovered, some weren't. That knowledge lives in me now. Heavy and permanent. Lily grew taller, louder. She learned to ride a bike, to read chapter books, to slam doors dramatically when she was mad at me. Life stitched itself back together in uneven but determined ways. I stopped waking at 2:47 a.m. Mostly sometimes, when the house is quiet and the night feels too still. I remember the sound of Evan's breathing behind me, the weight of his gaze, the way love can be mistaken for possession if you aren't careful. I check Lily's room once before bed. I kiss her forehead. I turn off the light, and I leave the door open. Because fear thrives in closed rooms, and safety doesn't need to hide.